So then the next thing I'm going to do is I need to connect to this container and load data to the MySQL database. Okay, so here I'm going to run a command. So I have my container running, but how do I get into that container so I can add data to it? Okay, or make modifications or do whatever. The way you do that is by running the command docker exec -it, then the name of the container. So you could use the Docker container ID, or you could use the actual name that you gave it, which I gave it MySQL, and then bash. Okay, because remember, when we ran this container with by default it has this entry point file, and all that it does is basically run MySQL and allow you to modify some variables when you run it. But that's about it. It doesn't really have anything else running on it. So if I want to connect to it, I have to use the -it, the name of it, and bash, because I want to run a bash shell so I can get into it. Okay, so when I do that, now look, now I'm no longer on my VM TLOS1, I'm on this container ID, which matches the container ID here. Okay, so now I'm in my container. So if I do more etc issue, see, it's a Debian Linux 8, so it's no longer CentOS. I have a Debian Linux instance running here. Okay, so but I really don't care that it's Debian, because really I'm going to get into MySQL here and I know how to do that already. So this is the same on CentOS and Debian. So I'm going to do MySQL -u root -- password, and remember we gave the password student. So I'm in here. Okay, so if I do show databases, it's just going to have the default databases. Okay, so I need to create a database. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a database called Python, because my application is going to be in Python, Flask, because that's going to be my framework, and app, because it's an app that I'm going to write. So create database Python Flask app. Okay, next I need to create an account that can run on any host and access all the databases in this MySQL instance. Okay, so you do that with the command grant all privileges on *.star. So not just this database I created Python Flask app, but on everything. Okay, I did it a little bit more global. I don't have to do that, but I'm choosing to do that in case I need it for something else. To root at, by putting this wildcard here, this root user could run on any machine. It doesn't have to be on a particular machine. Now in a production environment you might want to do this, you know, and say on this particular machine and only to this database, so that your your security is a little tighter. And then here I'm using a very simple password, again student, with grant option. Okay, so now I have access to it. So now if I do show databases, this should all be very familiar to you from our previous MySQL video. Okay, so now I have my database. Okay, so I'm going to use Python Flask app because I want to use that database, and I'm going to create the customer table.